Hi, Dom.
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Not too much. Getting ready to take the train ride to Busan.
Oh, yes. Train to Busan.
This is your pick now.
This
So
is my pick. I got to tell you, I don't remember how I got turned on to this. This is another random find that I watched, and oh my God, I never heard of it. And it's a wild ride.
yeah,
To me, this is one of the best zombie movies ever made.
it was a really cool idea to center it around a train and people trapped on a train. So yeah, I totally
Well,
agree.
it's not just that, like they put this is the first zombie movie that put emotion into it, like a father's love for his daughter, um uh a man's love for his pregnant wife. I mean, this really attached emotion so much to this horror movie that
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever seen this done before.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that I've never seen relationships or like people showing emotion and love. But you are right. It on the human side of it. It did it the characters the story characters the plot was a lot deeper than a lot of because a lot of zombie movies it's
It's
like
about some zombies.
yeah, it's like what you're seeing in the background there, people running, zombies chasing them. But this did take the time to build it didn't start with a zombie outbreak. It started with the father dealing with his daughter and the daughter wanting to go see the mother, their divorced family, and it started with that. And he could tell he was very disconnected at the start, and over
Hmm.
time he really and that I'll tell you what, because this was your pick, and we always usually ask each other, well, what did you think of the movie? And I had seen the movie before this. Like you, I kind of stumbled upon it. I didn't know about the movie, and I
Hmm.
just kind of
Hmm.
found it, and I was very happy that I found it because it was a gem. And so, as far as my thoughts on the movie, the one, my one big complaint with this one, and that is, and it happens with almost all zombie movies, but it certainly happened with this one, and that is, I hate with zombie movies a lot of times that they kill off the best of the characters, and it did bug me in this one. I mean, all of the characters that I truly loved um, on this, and the people that were the most heartwarming ones ended up dying. And I get it; that
Hmm.
tends to happen a lot,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and they kind of do want to pull at your emotions and heartstrings. But I was the people that are in that shot all died except for two,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I don't need
And
to.
they almost died.
I know, and you still were very, especially at the very end when, I mean, they almost faced a couple of army guys taking them out with sniper rifles. So, so I mean that it wasn't for her, one of them singing, that would have been the
Yep,
end of
that
it.
was the one thing that saved them.
Yeah. Now I interrupted you because I just went right into. So yes, I do love this movie. There you go. You got the shot.
Yep, that
And
is the ending of the movie.
Yeah, yep, and it's both a beautiful and a very sad, poignant ending. But I did not like it that the father they finally and that little girl, I mean, she had already gone through so much trauma. I loved that cool dude. I don't know any of the characters' names really, but the cool dude, that big dude that's in the blue jacket there,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was.
So that is Ma Dong-seok.
See, I would never have attempted to try to pronounce that, but
So when I put the short up, I said, if you love zombies and hearing me mispronounce names,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
you will
actually,
love this video.
I did see that, and that's why I'm going to leave it to you to do all the mispronunciations because I'm not going to even try it. But that's him behind me, and he is a cool dude. and
Hmm.
he made the movie. I mean, he was one of those characters. He was the tough guy that told everybody just get behind me and follow me.
He was amazing.
Yeah, he's an
And
amazing
he is
character.
probably also the most recognizable actor in this cast.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what movies you've seen or what shows you've seen. He was in the Marvel movie Eternals.
Okay. Okay. That makes
He
sense.
played Gilgamesh in that
Okay.
movie. The
Okay. That
movie
makes
is
sense.
horrible. I wish it
Yeah.
were not. I wanted to love it.
Yeah.
It's horrible. He's also in the Netflix series Sense8.
Okay. Okay. That I know him from. I didn't know him from the other one, but I
Mm-hmm,
didn't know him from the
mm-hmm.
Marvel one. But that's pretty cool. Yeah,
But yeah, that guy is amazing.
I knew I'd seen his face before. And by the way, shout out to South Korea and Korean cinema because man, when they put together a
Wow.
good movie, they are so frigging good at movies, horror movies, and just movies that really touch your heart. So big
Yes.
shout out to Korean cinema. I'd
I
have to,
didn't discover Korean cinema until, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago.
yeah.
And they
Oh
have
my
just
God.
impressed me.
So, some of the movies that I've seen out of Korea are just amazing. So I big props to South
Yep.
Korea. I
Yep.
mean, and I don't mind seeing that Hyundai represented in the movies either. I used to own one. But they're great cars. But no, I was just gonna say, this movie touched me in a lot of ways. That little kid, if they had killed that kid off,
Mhm.
I would have said I hate this movie. I'm all done because, and as it
Hey,
was,
you like movies that make you feel something.
that's true. That's true. Yep, you're right. You're right. So I can't. Even though I'm bitching, it's hard to
I,
bitch too hard. But
I gotta say, like, when I'm preparing for one of these videos, I seek out as many resources as I can about the movie. And
right,
IMDb is a go-to. And I read what people are writing. I read some of the reviews. This movie had so many people saying this is the only zombie movie that made me cry.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Well,
like I can't get over the amount of emotion they injected into this.
yeah, and in that sense, you're right about what you said at the start with the uh, a movie that actually had characters that really made you feel something. And so, because it's not that I've never seen that or experienced it in a zombie movie, and even like the Walking Dead TV show, that I mean, it was one of my probably my biggest bitches with that show was I mean, there's certain characters. The Asian dude that was on that show,
Oh God, I love him.
he
Steve
was
Yeun.
I know he was probably the coolest character on that show. And it's like, really, you got to kill the guy off. And I get it. It was part of the graphic novel and the whole, but it's like, come on, you deviated on other shit. Let the guy live. He was one of the cooler characters. It was, so
He's
yeah,
had a great career though. Like
oh
after,
yeah,
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 he's been in a lot of great movies.
yeah. And by the way, one of the things with this picture behind me right now, I love the fact that they had a baseball team on
I know.
on the bus. It was bad when they all turned zombie, except for one of them or two of them, the girl and the guy. But and they were the sweetheart couple. I was really sad when they ended up going too, because I liked them. But but it was hilarious having the baseball bats because it gave them some weapons too. So that part was fun. But yeah, there's another one. Yeah, I love that whole aspect too. So there was a lot of fun stuff with this that actually made it really cool. I mean, there was a lot of great characters.
And that's what impressed me about this movie. They pack so much into this.
Yeah,
I mean, the zombies put it solidly in the realm of horror,
yeah,
but like there was romance with the father-daughter thing. It was a family film. There was even like a social aspect with classism that they put
yeah,
into it.
yeah. Oh, that one dude, and I know I'll pull up a picture of him soon. There's the cast actually, and
Mhm.
that's the one dude that was so evil. He's on
Oh God, yes, the one in
That's
the upper.
the upper corner there.
Yeah,
I don't know whether to say the upper left or upper right
I
because
know
it's
it's so confusing with like all we'll do these videos and they'll watch the YouTube and it will be like
yeah,
totally
yeah, it's
flipped.
just the opposite. But he's the upper corner that's closest to you. That older gentleman there, he played such a good. There he is. I
This
was
guy.
so glad. See, that was one of my frustrations. He did finally go zombie. He did finally, but I wanted him to suffer worse because he caused so many people to die and turn zombie and to suffer, and he deserved more. In my world, he should have suffered a worse death. I
But
would
I
have
mean,
had more catharsis. But
that's the thing about it's one of the reasons why I love zombie movies. It's
yeah,
like I don't care if you're good or bad.
yeah,
This is a disaster that just takes it doesn't care if you're good or bad.
right.
It's just going to take everyone out. It's going to level everyone.
Yeah, the playing field is leveled. And the other thing about it too is I mean, it's you kind of know ahead of time that it's be prepared, and that's why as much as I'm bitching about the loss of favorite characters in this, you do kind of that's part of the deal. It's a
Mhm.
zombie outbreak, and just how people are. Even good people sometimes, in the face of adversity, and
Right. When an emergency strikes, we never know how we're going to respond.
yeah, and sometimes people that you would otherwise think. I mean, these two, the father daughter, it brought out the best. She
Hmm.
was so kind. She was such a kind soul, and he was actually trying to tell her, in some ways he was trying to prepare her for the world. He was saying you can't always be so kind, like you
Hmm.
can't always, and she was always trying to take care of people, and she was, I mean, she was so sweet when she gave up her seat for the older woman. She was always thinking about others, and she was appalled when her father would not. And
Right.
and so she brought out a lot of the human heart in him, because even though they were in those really bad moments where sometimes you had to make the hard choice, it was like, well, are we all going to die, or we're going to let these people die?
Hmm.
And so there were some moments like that where they had to make those decisions. But at the same time, there were moments where he was ready to just be a hard ass. And she was like, Daddy, no, like you can't do that. And then he'd look at her and he'd be like, fuck, and he'd try, help people out. And it did change him. In the end, he was, actually reaching his hand out and pulling people,
Oh,
to
he was a
safety.
hero. He sacrificed himself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And in the end, he completely sacrifices himself. So yeah, no, he that's a good example of what I say when I like to see in a movie too, is that moment of where the person, they experience a change of heart, and it's a moment of, triumph. So I mean, that was another moment right there where he's that some of the swarm scenes in this movie. That's another thing I loved about this movie.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, I am critical of the loss at the end. I would have liked to have seen a few more survive,
Hmm.
but I get it. I understand why it happened. But that train scene and some of the swarms, just how, like, you'd see that, because they were so damn fast in this movie. But they're
Hmm.
probably I don't know if it's South Korea, how fast they can run, or how fast their zombies become. But my God, that's the fastest zombies I've ever seen in a movie. And
So
they were
28
waves.
days later,
What's that? Oh yeah,
28 days later,
yeah.
great flick. We're gonna have to choose it
Oh
sometime.
yeah, absolutely.
But I have a feeling they change zombie movies forever.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't. There may have been an earlier movie that had fast zombies,
Well,
but
what
20.
what was the movie? Was it 28 Days Later, or was it one of the Dawn of the Dead? Or there was a campaign slogan that came out among audience people that was "Zombies don't run." And I still remember, because I'm old school with zombies. I grew up with slow, and
Yeah.
they were bad enough, but the fast ones add a whole new element, and it's grown on me. I didn't like it at first. I did look at I did kind of have the same thing of zombies don't run. Come on, but I get it, and sometimes it does actually. Things have to evolve and
Well,
change,
exactly.
and
It's an artistic choice. Like,
yes. So
thank God zombies don't exist.
I know that's the
So
big
there's
thing.
no
Is
reality to like
yeah, it's
base things off of.
well, it's funny because like people will make jokes about when the zombie war starts. I say just look at the people on fentanyl. There's your zombies. But but as far as like a real zombie thing, my God, it would be devastating if it was like it. And so as much as you could think to yourself in a movie sense, oh, that would be almost like a fun thing or something. It's like, no, it wouldn't. It would, it might to a fantasy thing of like, oh, that, it'd be cool to have to, fight your way through some zombies. It's like, no, it wouldn't. First of all, you'd be very quickly in trouble with problems with food all being gone, people, human beings just menacing each other. And I mean, look at what happened with COVID and toilet paper shortages. I mean, if toilet paper, and I still don't understand the mentality of like, well, why are you hoarding toilet paper? It's like, come on. I mean, how many rolls do you need? But anyway, but it is the human mentality of we got to try to survive. And so and then there's the zombie factor. And I mean,
Right.
yeah, and you're gonna experience this horrible, everyone you love is gonna be dead.
And, and
So
let me interject
yes.
because we went right into this. I did no description of the
Yeah,
movie.
actually, I'm sorry about that. Let's backtrack. Go
Yeah,
give
yeah,
give
no,
a
don't apologize to me. I apologize to anyone watching.
well, it's no, but it was my fault because I immediately launched into what I liked and didn't. So you go ahead, give the
So,
description and
so I'm going to describe the movie in brief, but I will preface it by saying if you haven't seen the movie, see the freaking movie. It's
yeah.
like it's on YouTube for free. I believe it's on Tubi for free.
Yeah,
It's
it is
on
on Tubi, I believe.
Amazon Prime for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
But basically, it starts out with a guy that's an overworked hedge fund manager. So he makes a good living. He's a single parent because his wife divorced him because he's a workaholic. His daughter is kind of estranged from him because he's a workaholic,
Yeah.
and it's going to be her birthday, and so he gives in to her wish to see her mom who lives in Busan. And so they're going to take the train to Busan. And en route, or actually a little before en route, a zombie apocalypse breaks out. And you get little clues ahead of time, but then once they're on the train, it comes out in full. And a group of people that never would have associated with each other ultimately works together for survival. And that is one of the things that is appealing to me is
Yeah.
here's a hedge fund manager, and then I never got the sense of what that guy in the middle did. The heroic guy, the
Uh,
big guy. I
oh,
never
you
got a
mean
sense
what
of
he did for a living?
right.
He
I never
probably
got
was
a sense.
he was probably an enforcer. He might have been a bouncer in a bar or something. Who
But,
knows?
but basically, he was with his pregnant wife, and all he cared about was keeping them safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ultimately, he realized that they needed to keep all of each other safe. And
Yeah.
so it's that guy, the dad, the hedge fund manager, and ultimately like a high school baseball player
Yeah.
that band together to try to survive.
Well,
There,
yeah. And here's one of the scenes, exactly what you're talking about. And I'm sorry, I'll let you keep going with that. But this is one of the scenes when they came together for the first time. They realized that they were going to have to run through cars to get to their families, and, cars full of zombies, and they taped themselves. I tell you what, I would have used more tape. I would have covered my hands better, because because when he taped his forearms like that, I thought, well, that's good if you can shove your forearm in there, but like if you were fighting a dog off or something that's trying to bite you, the dog might just bite your hand, or bite up here. So you better protect more than that. But ultimately it worked, at least at that time. But I love how, because he at that time he was very mistrust. He was like, I'm going to go first, and I'm going to open the way, and you guys back me up.
Hmm.
And his whole thing was, he looked at the baseball player, and he said, you're behind me, and he pointed to the executive, and he says, you're in the rear, and he goes, and you better not let anybody get to us. Because he did not trust him at all at that point. He knew the character of the man at the time, but everybody just comes together. They all support each other. It turns into a really cool. It's a moment of growth. It's
Yeah.
so. And
Yeah. And
they.
I don't know if I've got a screenshot of the homeless guy.
Oh, he was cool. He was another cool character. I felt bad about him too.
Right. Right.
So they do make you feel. They do make you feel for all these characters. Yeah, and that was it was the baseball player, I believe, that would, because that they were sneaking through the train at one point, and they were all up in the baggage area up above on each side of the seats, and they all got down, and he was the last guy down, the homeless guy. And as he goes to drop down, I think that they came out of the tunnel, the lights came on, I think that's what it was.
Well,
But
he stepped on a can, I thought.
oh, that's what it was. Yeah. And he got down in the seat, and he's hiding, but they're all looking around,
Hmm.
and they know he's in there. And the baseball player goes to help him. And which they ultimately did get out of there at that moment. But yeah, like I said, there were so many cool scenes. And by the way, that is actually the real, I don't know if that's the train to Busan, but that is the real train. And that picture behind me, and a
The
beautiful falls.
KXT 101.
Is that what it is? Wow, you got
That was the
you
train
got,
they took.
yeah, you got the stats. And it's a beautiful train too.
I looked so hard for a video that showed an actual train ride that was the train to Busan. I can't believe how hard it was, but I found it, and I'm going to include the link in the comments.
Wow, cool. But yeah, that would actually be really fun to watch. And that right there behind me is a cutaway
That's the
of,
making of.
yeah, and which was really cool. That's how they filmed the scenes with some of the cars, and they were actually a cutaway car with a camera being being moved around outside the train. So I mean, it was incredibly done film. We go back and forth about whether I like a certain movie, or you like a certain movie, but you won't get. I will give. I'll go right now and say it. I'll give this two thumbs up,
Oh
easy.
yeah, this is one of the movies. If I could give 3 thumbs up, I
Yeah,
would.
yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you always could give three thumbs up if you just had an extra thumb, or like me, if you had all of those thumbs. But yeah, and actually,
now,
yeah. Go
if
ahead.
I have a role in this channel,
Yeah,
it's being
you do.
hypercritical and picking out all the flaws in the movie.
Well, you're actually you are my critical guy, because when we pull up a movie, a lot of times you come at it from probably the more critical aspect of it. I'm probably the guy that I'm like the nice critic, and you're the harsh one that goes, "Oh no, I didn't like it because of this."
And so, as much as I love this movie,
Yeah,
their zombie logic is extremely flawed.
why do you say that?
There are parts in this movie where closed doors will block the zombies, or the zombies not being able to see people will make them calm down.
Right.
But then there are other scenes where they get through doors just fine. or they pick out someone without seeing them. So that changes.
Well, I'm not sure I totally can name. I do think I remember at the start of, and I don't know whether the doors were just opening automatically or what, but I do remember early on when they were running from the zombies, it did seem like there were a few doors that just opened, or whether they opened them, and then later they did. If that's the case, which I'm not sure, I mean, I'm assuming that's what happened. But later on, that was and might have been him that pointed it out. That he said, "I don't think they can open the doors when they come to the doors. I don't think they have the understanding of how to open the doors. So, and you just saw them pressing against the doors."
And
Um,
then like there are scenes like they're zombies. So
yeah,
being hit by a car, being shot doesn't phase them. And yet when those three are trying to go through the train cars, you'll see there's one scene where that baseball player is striking their feet
right.
and getting like they will not respond to that.
Yeah,
And like the big guy, the enforcer is like punching them. And I'm like, that's not going to do anything to them.
right,
Not only will it not do anything, but if you're worried about getting bit, a punch to the face has an equal chance of a tooth cutting your hand and transmitting
right.
the virus. So their zombie logic is extremely inconsistent.
Yeah. But every zombie movie that I think I've ever seen, and this is something that one of my problems with a lot of zombie movies is, and I mean, your medical background makes you a lot more qualified to speak to this than myself. But almost every zombie movie, there's some moment where you got a guy fighting a zombie, and the zombie's like bleeding on him, or he gets something and stabs the thing in the face and kills the brain, and the thing's blood's pouring out and it's going down his face. Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, that's getting in your mouth, dude.
Yep,
The
yep,
zombie blood, and I mean, there's many forms of blood-borne infection through open wounds, nose, some means of transmission. I mean, depending on the type of virus or whatever, sometimes it's you can do it through air inhalation. Some of it's through cuts and wounds and things like that. But you never see anybody get infected unless they get bit in one of
right.
those movies. And I'm thinking to myself, you had so much blood all over you, all over your face, and whatever. And it's like you didn't have any cuts, any ways of like. I'm expecting that person to turn into a zombie. So I do think they play with it a little bit. It's
Yeah.
so
And granted, like it's a movie, it's
yes,
entertainment. So
yeah,
so you accept it. But it's a fairly egregious inconsistency.
yeah, yeah. Now, one of the things that actually really found funny, and again, we were talking about this guy. He's like the hero guy in the movie, and, and look at the outfit he's wearing. He's got a suit jacket, some kind of, I don't know what the pants are, and just the whole outfit. I guess he's got a scarf, but I actually saw this in imagery. That is actually a cosplay. If you if you were going to have a cosplay, or I guess for Halloween, to dress like the people in Train to Busan, that is actually his outfit. And I was like, wow, really? They actually have.
and
um,
and it's both super cool and wow, how nerdy do you have to be to
it
recognize that cosplay?
really, yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, you have either a costume party or Halloween party or get together, or whatever, and the person goes, "Oh, you're that guy from Train to Busan." And everybody turns around, looks at you, and go, "Wow, nerd." But yeah, like I said, great movie. You've got some of the baseball players behind you. They were actually, and that was another scene that was both kind of like poignant and also like you're like, dude, do something. But the scene where the baseball player with this girlfriend behind me, he gets into that scene and he's like paralyzed because those are all his buddies, his best friends,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they're all zombies. And it's like, those are his bros, and
Mhm.
and there they go turning
And,
zombie.
and I gotta say, like I don't know what the screen time was with her and him.
Yeah,
Wow, like you got the romance vibe so quickly. You felt so good about that couple
I know.
so soon. I mean, it was masterful. The casting here gave such an emotional performance. They transmitted these emotions so well to the screen that the recognition was almost immediate.
Yeah,
You immediately accepted these two love each other.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean the level of emotion that it brought out in people watching the movie. You just the moment where she gets bit and and he's completely devastated. He's holding her
I mean, it's
and
heartbreaking.
it is. It's really heartbreaking. There were so many scenes like that with this movie. I think probably the one that bothered me and bugged me the most was the father daughter because they it took so long for him to really recognize his role and what he had for his daughter, and by the time that that took place, it's the she really realized what a good dad he was also, and she truly loved her dad. And then of course it's like, daddy don't go. It was like, that was so sad at the end. I was like, okay, you fuckers. I mean, I was kind of furious when that happened, because it was like, you can't let, because I mean, the hero dude with his wife, and he entrusted his wife to the father and said, take care of my wife
Mhm.
and his pregnant wife, which he was all about, his wife and his baby. And that was hard to take. And then of course at the end, to just to see the father had to give his daughter up to the pregnant woman and said, take care of
I
my
mean, we
daughter.
watched roughly an hour of them just overcoming insurmountable odds to survive,
Yeah,
only to succumb at the very end.
yeah. And that was what it was. That was why it was so hard. It was,
Mhm. Mhm.
it was just hard to take. And so like I said, my biggest bitch about the movie, and I really love the movie, so I'm not saying that I didn't love the movie just because of that, but my biggest problem was, I mean, they did make you, it's both a really great thing and also a terrible flaw in the movie. And another person that was really a small role, but he was actually a hero in himself, um, and that was the train engineer that
Mhm.
that was driving the train, because he did his job, and not only did he do his job, but he kept that train moving. But he also did a very heroic thing at the end when they realized they needed to get into their train. The tracks were blocked, and he had to get another train on a different track. And he went in and found a working train that did not have zombies in it, and and he actually moved the train out of a tunnel, or out of whatever the area where they were repairing and working on the trains. I don't know what you call it, but anyway, he moved it out of that and got it safely into the, and then is looking for people, survivors, that can get to the train. And of course, the first guy that gets in there is that the asshole,
Yep.
who does so many bad things in that movie. And
And
like I
and
said,
survives the longest in the movie.
yeah, really, really. I mean, of all the people, but which, it's realistic too,
Yep.
because, unfortunately in life, we see that a lot. The people that you want to live longer, and it's like, your beloved, whether it's a grandmother or mom or dad or whatever it is, a person that's good in your life, and you're rooting for them to have a good long life, and maybe their lives get cut short, or a kid or something, and then you see somebody and it's like they're just an evil person that grows old, and you're like, why? Why does that happen? But but yeah, and it certainly does in zombie movies.
Yep. Yep.
So, but yeah, it was good, and they did a nice job of the characters um that were evil. Even they were good bad guys. So
The and that's the acting is so phenomenal
yeah,
in this, that like there's a lot of times that a zombie movie it's a zombie movie. The
yeah,
zombie horde, the threat of zombies, that's the main driver of the movie. In this, you actually understood these people as individuals.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very it's I mean, it's very character driven. And I mean, the the zombies were scary zombies. So they were, but you had a few people on there. That whole car full of bad guys that were when they were trying to get through, and they were blocking the doors because they're like, well, they could be infected. And that scene there, that was really hard to take too. I mean, actually, that's part of the scene right there. He's holding it, that one of the train workers is holding his hand over the girlfriend's mouth, and to try to keep her from warning what they were doing.
Her
But they actually
boyfriend,
had,
yeah.
and that was their ultimate demise too, because the people in that car were such
Yep.
a selfish group of people, and they tied the doors closed. So when the zombies did turn on them in there, they were trapped by their own selfishness, and lack of human sympathy or empathy for their fellow man. So that was what ultimately killed them, was their own evil intentions. But yeah, great movie, just a great movie. Like I
A
said,
fantastic movie. And again, I urge anyone, if you've not seen this movie, see this movie.
yeah, Train to Busan, and again, like I said, I can't say it enough. Big shout out to Korean cinema, because
Yep.
anyone that's watching, if you're from Korea, I have to say, you're doing a lot better than Hollywood, um, because Hollywood half the time is imitating Korean cinema, and
Mhm.
copying their films, because they don't have any good original ideas, and that's one of my main beefs with Hollywood. And I mean, I know they put out some good ones sometimes, but too often they go, "Oh, that was a good movie. Let's remake that with." And it's like, well, why don't you try making your own? but but no, again,
So when I
great film.
chose this movie,
What's
I was
that?
torn because
Oh,
this movie is great. We've talked about it.
yeah,
Fantastic movie, and yet not unknown, not a rare movie, not a movie that I feel needs to be shared because no one knows about it.
right.
However, the prequel, Soul Station.
Okay, no, and that is something I was going to ask you about, because I figured you probably looked it up and researched it.
Oh, I've
But
seen it twice.
really, okay, because I have not seen it.
It's an amazing movie. It's animated.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I mean, that's okay, but I'd rather it be a film, but okay.
Trust me, it does not matter. This is one of
It's
the darkest films,
wow, wow,
animated or not,
huh?
that
Yeah,
I've ever seen.
yeah.
And
So you
and I
should.
so wanted to choose it because I don't hear anyone talking about Soul Station. And yet, wow, is is it impactful? It is not, it's not uplifting in any way.
Well, okay, so you're going to probably be doing the description on this one anyway, and when for people that are looking for various links and just learning about the movie, the
Yep.
synopsis. So when you do that, if you could maybe put either a link or just give the
I'll link
name,
to Soul Station because I believe it is available for free on Tubi.
because well, one of the other things I was going to ask you about, and I believe I saw Train to Busan 2.
Yeah. So the
Any good
sequel,
or
and I'll put that in air quotes because it's not a direct sequel. It doesn't follow any of the characters from Train to Busan, but it's
because they were all
events
dead?
later in a same universe.
Right.
Peninsula.
Okay.
I could not even make it through the movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was,
That's sad.
again, you form your own decisions, but I found it extremely disappointing.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad. Um, yeah, well, it does. I mean, it doesn't matter because
Right,
this movie stands on its own. If there was no prequel, if there was no sequel, whatever, this movie
exactly.
stands on its own. I do consider this to be when you're talking zombie movies, and this in itself is high praise. It stands well with any zombie movie out there. So if you're thinking about it, believe me, watch it. It's good.
And don't just take it from us. Edgar Wright, I don't know if you know the name,
The name is
director of
familiar, but
Shaun
I
of the
couldn't.
Dead.
What's oh okay.
Director of Shaun of the Dead is
Yeah.
quoted as saying, "This is the best zombie movie I've seen in forever."
Wow. Okay, that's very very high praise. And again, it's worth it, and it's completely justified. Great zombie movie. So again, anyone that heard my criticism at the start, I stand by them because I was sad, but that is also partly due to to praise the movie because it does make you feel for these characters. Um, Too often in zombie movies, the characters are not developed and not given much time a lot of times to make you feel for them. So when they do die, you're like, okay, so it's. But this one actually, the characters that they're showing right here, these are all the characters that you love that are behind me,
Oh, and you
and
love them. I mean,
yeah,
you really feel for them.
yes, and every single one of them, you did not want to see them lost on the screen. And again, like I said, that was if I have a grief about the movie, it's like, well, no, why'd you do that? It's like, but I would have loved to have seen them walk away. But I again, I get it. Nobody,
Right.
nobody
It
walks
was an
away.
artistic decision.
Sure. And that's part of the deal with zombie movies. So,
Now,
um,
one of the shocking things, the budget of this entire movie,
yeah,
$8.5 million.
wow, that's a really small budget for
I mean,
especially considering, wow, what they had to do for effects, for the amount of, I mean, just the sheer amount of makeup people that they must have had on the set
yes.
to make up the zombies. I mean, they must have had 50 makeup people easy to make up the masses that they, and I know some of it was CGI, but it was pretty hard to tell what was CGI. I would say the waves probably were the most that you probably thought, okay, that's CGI, but the waves were impressive when you saw like a whole horde of zombies running towards you, and then another group comes right over the top of them, and it's like, oh my God, there's so many and they're
Now
so fast.
they did steal a lot from World War Z.
Yeah, yeah, I
I mean,
guess.
this was its own movie,
Yeah,
and I actually prefer this to World War Z.
yeah, and well, the other thing is, I mean, every movie builds just like music builds on music.
Right.
Every movie builds on. I would rather somebody do what they were doing here for whether it's stealing or borrowing or just like appreciating scenes, and so you're making, yeah, that zombie deer was really creepy at the start. That was actually really cool. And then, now that's an example of CGI that was really well done. I don't know who was doing
Really
this.
well done.
Yeah, I don't know who was doing the CGI in this, but if you're listening, you probably aren't. But big praise, because that zombie deer was creepy when he gets up.
I've seen this movie. I've seen that scene at least 3 times.
Yeah,
And knowing that I was going to do this video with you,
yeah,
I watched it extra closely.
yeah,
And I was absolutely amazed
yeah,
at how
yeah.
well that was done, how real it looked.
It looked really real, and again, the as far as like the I had this is that was the second time I'd seen the movie, and I forgot about the deer. Even to the point when he hits it and he stops the vehicle and he gets out and he sees, you can see the blood trail on the road, and then you, of course, you see, okay, deer down. I couldn't tell whether it was a deer or a dog, and and then he drives off, and the deer gets up, and so yeah, I was probably looking much closer this time, because it was the second viewing, and when the deer's eye opens, and it's like, oh fuck. So yeah, no, again, big praise for even just the CGI. So yeah, I love the movie. I'm
Uh,
still mad at the filmmakers for killing off my favorite characters, but
I love the zombie genre. Love
yes,
it. I would
yeah,
seek out almost everything I can. But what I really love is the zombie genre is so overdone. Someone that takes it and makes it new.
right,
It's
right,
one of the reasons why I love Pontypool, and it's why I love the emotionality they injected into this.
yeah, yeah. It's to tell you the truth, because I have my pick for. I'm gonna pick uh, one more horror movie. People are probably getting tired of horror, but we still are, as we film this. We
We're
still
in
are.
spooky season.
Yeah, it's Halloween, and I could watch horror movies all year long, but I
Same.
don't I wouldn't want to only pick horror movies, but it is a favorite of mine for genre, and I almost was going to pick, and this is not the movie but I was almost going to pick Shaun of the Dead,
Mm,
because I really love the movie, and I
great
figured,
movie.
okay, well, we'll lighten it up with a comedy, and but as far as, I didn't want to do another zombie movie, because even though I really want to do it, there's a number of zombie movies I'd like to do. I mean, a
We could do
number
a
of them.
year of zombie
Seriously,
movies.
or a month of them, which we almost did for Halloween. But no, like I said, I really want to do Shaun of the Dead, and I reserve my the right to pull up more zombie movies, and especially Shaun of the Dead is just so much fun. I just love how it unfolds. But I actually am going to go on record of saying what movie, and this is a movie I think you have seen it maybe when you were too young to really have remembered this movie, and it's very hard to find. We're talking about movies that are, but it is on YouTube, and in fact, the only place that I know of, other than buying probably a disc that's somewhere out there that's maybe pirated or something like that. I don't know where it's really at. Probably maybe you can get a European copy, but the nanny, and it's the not no not Fran Drescher. the
Like
it's a
the
Betty
nanny.
it's the Betty Davis movie, and it's 1966, I believe. It's on YouTube. You can see it. So anybody that's listening to us now, I hope you've already given us a thumbs up, for this, and leave a like, Please subscribe if you would, support us. But what I was going to say was you can find The Nanny, not Fran Drescher, the Nanny with Betty Davis. Pamela Franklin, I believe, is a girl in the movie. But a brief little synopsis: it's about a nanny that takes care of, or she was taking care of two kids, one of whom has died. One of the kids has gone away for a little while, and he's back now, and he has a very kind of contentious relationship with his nanny, and
This will be
it's
great because I was like I'm thinking, how many movies have I actually seen with Betty Davis?
right. Well, this is another Betty Davis, and I think she's phenomenal in the movie. And this movie, when I was younger, this movie scared the ever loving hell out of me. Are some real creepy scenes in the movie. Um, and you know, we've gone back and forth about which one of us picks the most disturbing movies. Um, this movie has some fairly disturbing scenes in the movie, and I I I actually, can you remember seeing the movie, Dom? Do you
I
remember?
cannot.
Okay, that's good because that'll hopefully either refresh your memory or it'll just be a revelation. And I challenge Lisa, your spouse, to watch the movie with you
I'll let her know.
because it's a movie that you know, I love introducing people to it. Not a lot of people know about the movie. I don't know why it hasn't been a more popular movie because it's quite good. If you know movies like Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte,
Yep.
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, all the ones I love, The Bad Seed, different. This is a black and white movie. Don't let that influence you because some people go, "Oh, I don't watch black and white movies." Well, man up. uh, so anyway, it's easily found on YouTube, and that's my pick for next week. So just wanted to
Well,
put that out.
there you have it. Train to Busan, Universal two thumbs up. The Nanny next week.
Yep, I think, and that'll probably end our Halloween run
Mm-hmm.
as of next week with that uh, talk. But believe me, there'll be more horror movies coming your way. We love our horror movies. So but hopefully we'll have some Thanksgiving movies also
Yeah, some
coming, and
holiday family friendly things.
yes, and we'll definitely do those in between. Will probably still stick a few disturbing ones in in between, or maybe some disturbing holiday movies. So, but yeah, we always have fun with that. But I think, Dom, I think we probably can wrap this one up if
I
you're,
think we can put a pin in it.
yeah, put a pin in it and pop that bubble. So yeah, folks, we had fun with this one. It was I think it's a terrific movie that we brought to your attention. If you haven't seen it, see it. I don't think we spoiled it with what we talked about.
No, it's a great film.
And Dom, thank you for picking it. I think you chose a great movie.
This one is
So
near and dear to my heart.
yep, it's near and dear to mine also. Even though I'm mad about the characters, but no, love the movie. So Dom, I will see you next week for The Nanny, not Fran Drescher. See you next
I'll
week,
see you
Dom.
next week.
Take it easy, buddy.